buy guys that are going to be on TV because that's who's going to get the exposure and that's who people are going to want to buy.
Welcome back, everyone, to SlabStoxFC. My name is Aaron, your host. I am joined here today by Treadway21 on Instagram. Please give him a follow. He's a soccer coach and is here to share some prospecting information with us and development tips and tricks in the soccer market and different things you guys can take home. So thank you so much for joining me. Intro yourself, how you got into soccer cards and what you got going on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I grew up playing soccer from age 4 until the end of my high school career. I played goalkeeper. That was my primary position. I had the opportunity to play a little bit in college, chose not to, just because I was playing soccer my whole life. So I got kind of burnt out, but still remained an avid fan. That kind of transformed into me becoming a coach after I graduated college. I coached varsity soccer for 5 years. Now I primarily work as like a strength and conditioning coach for soccer players, little like underdeveloped soccer players, I want to say. So like smaller schools, kids that aren't getting the exposure, trying to give them every advantage they can to make it to the next level. Once I started coaching, I was watching a lot of game film for high school, but then also professional as well. And I kind of started collecting with MLS cards. So I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a Columbus Crew season ticket holder. And I just started buying cards of players I liked. So, they're not worth a ton, but buying my favorite players, Jossie Zardes, a U.S. men's national team player, Will Trapp, another men's national team player, and then being a goalkeeper, I started going heavy into Zach Steffen because I thought he was a tremendous talent, and then that just kind of evolved everything from there. The soccer market kind of boomed, and it made my some of those cards that I was picking up for a couple bucks worth something.
Yeah, when were you buying those MLS cards? Because it's funny because I feel like most people would start in the worldwide market and then move to MLS if they want something else to do. But that's cool. You started in MLS.
Yeah, and so I was picking those up a few years ago, really
Wow.
when like Zardes came about, when he came to the Crew from the Galaxy, and then Will Trapp was kind of like a fan favorite, so I picked up a couple of his like Topps autographs, and those cards aren't worth anything, but it's
Right.
still cool just because I've been picking them up for a while now, and
Yeah.
MLS cards still aren't big, but.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Awesome. How do you see what you're doing in coaching, transpire over to the soccer card market? Because so much of what you do and knowing the game itself, that was like what it was for me with basketball. Is I had such a good advantage when I used to do basketball cards a lot because I knew the game. I played so much. How does that help you in the soccer card market? Because there's a lot of people out there who don't know how to identify those talents and to see them before they get big out in Europe and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the number one thing for soccer cards and soccer players is going to be exposure, right? Like I'm a Newcastle United fan and they're not very good and they're never going to be very good. They're never going to be on the top of anything. So, I'm not saying go invest in, Newcastle prospects or anything like that, but you want to find guys that are linked to winning clubs and guys that are going to get a lot of exposure, because if you could have a guy that has all the talent in the world, but if he never really goes to a top club, you're never really going to see a return if you're just primarily investing in soccer cards.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and then from there, you want to look at guys that the big thing that I see in coaching and when I'm trying to promote a guy to the next level, be it college, primarily Division 3, Division 2, is IQ and field awareness. So to kind of relate that to the card market, you're really not going to invest a ton in defensive players and goalkeepers. So being a goalkeeper myself, I said I was going hard on Zach Steffen, but he's kind of like a big man in basketball. They're fun to collect, and if he's good and on a good team, you'll see a little bit of value there, but you're never going to hit big on a goalkeeper card. Same
Yeah.
kind of with defenders. People want the creative player. They want somebody that can score. And I'm looking for a guy that can work well in small spaces, but still see vision of the entire field.
Mhm.
So when I'm when I'm watching highlight film on YouTube or whatever about like an up and coming player that I might like, I'm looking for his ability to get his other players involved. And then, just his raw skill. Is he able to finish? Is he taking bad touches? Because that all gets amplified when they hit the next level. If you have a
Yeah.
guy that's poor touches and then he gets into the Champions League and the bright lights shine, what do you think's going to happen?
Right, right. So was Jadon Sancho a guy you were big on when he was coming up?
So I was big on, being a U.S. men's national team fan and having a weird link because Greg Berhalter used to coach the Crew. Now he's the coach for the U.S. men's national team. So I started following Pulisic
Yeah,
when he was, because he was with Dortmund from age like 15 to 20. So
yeah,
I was streaming Dortmund games, watching him. And then that kind of evolves and you find other players. From that, I started watching Sancho and I watched him play and I really like his skill. Really wish he would have got loaned out because I don't really the Bundesliga is great. Much better than the MLS I watch a lot of the times, but I'm just, you want him to be in the Prem. You want him to be on the biggest stage that there is.
mhm. Yeah, gotcha, for sure, for sure. So, have you seen successes in the soccer car market with pulling this stuff over and incorporating, what you're doing either in coaching or what you're doing while watching film and applying that? Because, you can do it multiple different ways. You can either use social media, you can watch highlights, or you can just throw darts at a dartboard. But is this strategy kind of working for you so far?
Yeah, and again, it's kind of hit or miss, and it depends on that exposure. So, Pulisic being, I don't want to say that, I was prospecting Pulisic because I think he had been deemed from a young age to be the next US superstar. But the ability to see that talent and see that he's going to gain traction from a bigger club is huge because if you can find a guy before they make it to the Prem or make it to one of these top levels, um, that's going to be huge because I was picking up Christian Pulisic cards for a few dollars a piece, and those
Yeah.
cards are now selling. Again, you get the fear of missing out. I wish I would have bought more then. There have definitely been some misses too, right? I said I was a goalkeeper, so I was always, big on the goalkeeper cards, and those don't usually pan out. There are a couple other guys that I was picking up, but most of this stuff looked like good buys at the time just because the market's evolved so much. But
Yeah.
then there's definitely players that I've missed on, whether that be injury or, they haven't really made it to a big time club yet.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Christian Pulisic, what are your favorite cards of him, either to invest in, to collect, to buy? And do you do, rookie cards, actual cards, or stickers, or both?
Yeah, so I know everybody, you always see the debate cards versus sticker, and the sticker does come first in a lot of cases. And that's seen as the true rookie investment piece. But for Pulisic, I'm a collector and a fan, so I want something that I can proudly display. I go my favorite set is the Topps Chrome.
Hmm.
So collecting the refractors, the photo variation refractors, numbered refractors. I have a couple at PSA right now. I know I saw you had the orange one, and I was pretty jealous of that one. That's a nice card.
I did have the
Um,
orange BGS 10. I bought it raw for $30 in March.
that's unreal. I think,
$30.
and that one's numbered out of
25.
25. That's
Yeah.
unreal. I
I
I
had I had
paid
the gold. I had the gold, the PSA 9 too, and blue that got a I actually sold that raw. What do you have?
I have my I should have bought it forever ago, but those cards don't pop up a lot, especially raw. I picked up the green out of 99, but I unfortunately picked it up too late. I picked it up this year and it was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But I picked up like the purple variation, which is numbered. I think it's like 299 or something.
Yeah, 250.
250. Yeah. I mean, I picked it up for $15.
Yeah.
And, those cards, especially in PSA 10, go crazy. I'm looking at it right now. But my favorite one I have, you know, with players, kind of going back to the sticker, I like to have them in a current uniform, right? So
Yes.
that the Chelsea card to me is cooler now because that's who he's with if he ever leaves. So that's why I pick up a lot of the U.S. men's national team. So I'm really big on his select stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but his immaculate, I have a patch booklet out of 35.
Yes, that
Um,
card's sick.
it's pretty sweet. That's probably my prized Pulisic possession.
Yeah, and question here: 2019 Prism EPL, the Pulisic in that. What do you think of him holding up the Chelsea jersey? Do you actually treat it as like a desired card? Because when I was going about my soccer investing a year ago, I pretty much wrote that card off. I said, I know it's his first card with Chelsea kit, but I hated how he's holding it up like he's at a press conference. I just thought like this is not how sports cards are supposed to be. I did buy his Kaboom in the Chelsea because it did feature it actually in the kit. I know that's probably Photoshop, but still, I picked that one up for like $50. But I mean, what do you think about that one where he's holding it up?
I don't like it. I picked up the autograph and I paid $35 for it.
Well, that's a good buy.
Um, and I actually recently sold it. I picked up two autographs at the same time. I picked up the Select USA kit because he's always going to be on the USA.
Yeah.
And then I picked up the Chelsea as well. And then I recently, being from Columbus, I go to Card Collector 2 store, and he's a big Pulisic guy
Oh, it's
too. So
awesome.
I sold him the Chelsea kit one because I'm not a huge fan of that card, to be honest with you.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I'm not a fan either. And they were so dirt cheap. I mean, silvers for a couple bucks. Now they're a couple hundred, but at the same time, or they were. I don't know if they're still a couple hundred. But either way, the card's super hot. My favorite Pulisic card, if I can share, I still have an Eminence patch auto out of 10. I got
mhm.
of him, and I think the Eminence cards are super sweet. I have a couple patch autos from that set of Ronaldo and Luis Suarez. But yeah, I think that's awesome. I think you definitely have to get in and collect where you enjoy too. Obviously, like you could have, you would have known probably that Mbappe would have made you more money over that same amount of time, but it's also about the collecting along the way, which is cool to hear you collecting those MLS cards 2 years ago because there's been a lot of people that have jumped in just to get in on the big guys to make some money, but cool to see where you started and where you've came to now with the card market.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the Kaboom card. I remember going into Ryan's shop and he had a Kaboom for $60 right
Oh,
before the pandemic hit. And I kept passing on it because I'm like, it's a Chelsea kit. I'd rather have the USA version. And the
yeah.
guy who bought it, Ryan told me last week that he got a 9.5 on it. And I'm like, yeah. I could have had it for $60, and now I just watched one on eBay go for like $450, and
Yeah.
it's unreal.
Do you have a select USA one, the one from 2017? Because that card is sick. That one's rare and really cool.
I do have I like die cuts,
Yeah.
so I have a die cut. I didn't pick up a ton of. Actually, I'm really big on the Revolution set. I love
Yeah.
Revolution cards, so I was picking up a lot of the numbered parallels of Revolution at the time.
I really like Revolution 2, specifically for basketball, just because that's what I'm the biggest in. But what's your favorite parallel from Revolution? Because there's some really cool numbered ones out there.
So actually, my favorite one, it's called Magma, and he
Yes.
has
Yeah.
an autographed Magma that is
Dang.
is pretty awesome. I remember seeing those going for like $75, and I didn't pick one up. I've got a couple like Sunburst and some other numbered stuff, but the Magma, I really regret not picking that up.
Yeah, I remember there were some Galactics under $100 of those when I was first getting to. I remember August of 2019 when I was looking. I was watching some Messi, Revolution, Galactic, PSA 10s, and Ronaldo's too. They were ending for like $100 to $200, and it's got to be a four-figure card for sure by now, and probably
Absolutely.
2,000 or something. But just wild what's happened to the market and to all these sets, and it really makes me wonder where does it go from here. And I want to hear your take on that. Where does soccer go from here? What are we looking at? What are different ways that people can get involved today? Like, how can they start?
Well, again, I wouldn't wait a long time because there are some key dates coming up. Obviously, the big one is 2022 World Cup. And then if you want to look at a little bit further as a longer term investment, 2026, it's going to be the North American World Cup. Um, that's going to bring a lot of exposure. We've got UEFA Europa League. It starts, I believe, in August of next year. Um, and then the group stage of Champions League just started. So,
Yeah.
those guys that you see, I know Mbappe took a dip. It's kind of like LeBron. The Champions League run was kind of built into his price. So his price was topping out, and then they lost Champions League final. His prices dipped. now would be a good time to start picking up Mbappe or those guys that you think can make a run in the Champions League.
Yeah, yeah, lots of opportunity. And I also think the more that people that actually are fans of soccer start to learn about the cards and want to get the cards, the bigger it can go. Because we saw it over the last 7 months of people and who are fans of basketball, again, the basketball cards, same thing happened. And I think there's just a lot of uncharted ground in terms of what audience is in soccer and who's looking to get into it over the next 2 years. So I think that there's going to be some special moments for people. I also would I'm gonna say I want to get this out there somehow. I didn't know how, but I was doing this YouTube video. Is I think that if you're looking at the Euro and 2022 World Cup, possibly 2026, you have to be ready to sell leading up to it or right when it starts. We've seen like you said with the Champions League run, people are buying because of what it can be in the future. Once that event's done, it's done. Like that, people don't want to buy it anymore. I mean, they will still, but prices will go down a bit to capture the highest value and even not the peak because no one can predict the peak. I would recommend selling some leading up to the event, some at the beginning of the event, and maybe holding some of those guys you think can make the finals, like for the World Cup or whatnot, because that could also be huge for their prices too.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking at the young guys, right? There's a couple guys on the U.S. roster. Again, go back to collecting who you like. I liked Christian Pulisic, and it worked out. There's a couple guys on the U.S. roster that I really like Conrad De La Fuente. Could be huge. So when his stuff comes out, he's on the U20 men's national team. He plays on Barcelona's B side right now. He's a real young guy. Start picking his stuff up, and then you can get it at such a cheap price point that you can have it. Send it to grade if that's what you want to do. Hold on to it, and then as the run up occurs, you're probably looking at 2026 for him. Start offloading it. Get your money back, make some money, and then you have kind of a stockpile. That's what I did with Pulisic. When he started to get that first run out at Chelsea, and then he had the hat trick and his stuff kind of exploded. I was able to sell off some of the stuff. It hurt a little bit, but sell off some of the stuff. But then you still got a nice stockpile left.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Like you said, De La Fuente, is that his name?
Yep. Yep.
What's
He's a
what?
winger.
Yeah, what's the card or sticker to pick up of him right now?
Um, I haven't checked to see if there's anything. I know
Yeah.
he had a sticker at one point, but I haven't really looked at anything to see. I just remember searching on eBay. It's been a few months ago, and there wasn't really anything. There was a sticker. I don't know the legitimacy behind it, but he's not really in a ton of products right now. So,
Exactly.
when he comes out in a product, kind of like when Weston McKennie was just starting to come on the scene, I picked up a ton of his Donruss for $2 to $3 a piece.
Mhm.
Again, they're not super high dollar cards right now, but as we lead up, I think that Donruss is his first card, and it's a USA kit.
Yeah.
He's obviously with Juventus right now. But as you pick up that card so cheap, you're able to move off of them as the run up for the World Cup comes.
Yeah, and keep that in mind. Have those names ready so when their cards do hit, you're gonna be the first ones there because Gio Reyna, his first card hit in Topps Chrome Bundesliga, and right when that hit, maybe I know people obviously knew about him and soccer investors, but clearly more people learned about him as he started to get more play with Dortmund, and now his Topps Chrome is really high up there. Is he a guy you checked out at all or wanted to get into as a USA fan?
Yeah, those guys. Not as a USA fan, but I said I'm a Newcastle fan, but
Yeah,
I watch a lot of Chelsea because of Pulisic. But the guy, kind of to your point, Callum Hudson-Odoi, I
yeah,
really enjoyed watching him play. He never really had a card until this past EPL Prism. The
hmm
first run of Prism was his rookie card. I'm sure he's got a sticker out there, but again, I'm not a huge sticker guy. That Prism is his that's going to be his iconic rookie card.
yeah.
And when that product came out, his Prism rookie cards, the base and the parallels were a couple bucks a piece. Then Prism picked up steam, and now they're getting up there in price. But just getting in when it's a young guy, a young product. The first players to get picked over are the superstars. Everyone's searching for the Pulisics, they're searching for the Mbappe, the Ronaldo, the Messi. Some of these young guys are kind of getting looked over, and you can get them at a pretty cheap price point.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And I can see people who know soccer really well doing that. One of my buddies who actually was on the show to the very first episode, Oren, he's been looking at some guys in that Prism EPL set because he just knows the rookie cards in that set and knows the players. And it helps a ton. And speaking of Callum Hudson-Odoi, I had quite a bit of him. I had a Blue Shimmer number 8 from that set. I had Blue Ice 75, the Blue Av 199. I had Hyper and Silver. Those are cool cards. The Blue Shimmer, I got just destroyed on that grade. It got a 6, I think.
Oh, wow.
Totally missed in the front bottom right. There was a little bend on the corner, but because it's a shimmer, it looked like it blended in with the pattern.
Yeah.
Got a 6. I ended up still making a couple $100 on it, which is
Oh, yeah,
it just
absolutely.
because just to the point how much the soccer market increased. I bought this last August for $200. Was able to sell a PSA 6 for like 400 in over
That's
this
unreal.
past summer. All
That's
right.
awesome.
Any last words for anyone looking to get into soccer? How they can do so? What are some big things they should think about? Just anything from your experience of collecting soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. So the number one thing is collect players that you like. If you're a soccer fan, I spent a lot of money on the Pulisic green because I didn't do it, when it came out. But at the end of the day, if I like the card, it doesn't matter if I make any money off of it. And if Pulisic, he's had a little bit of injury concern. If he gets injured and is never really sees his full potential, I still have the card that I like. He's still always going to be popular in the U.S. um, Buy positions that will favor you if you are investing. Don't buy the goalkeepers. Don't buy the. I really like Reece James for Chelsea, but he's a defender. He's not really going to ever see that huge pop. Whereas a guy like Callum Hudson-Odoi, who could score goals, he's going to be in on the attack. Um, he's going to get the pop when Chelsea's doing well. So buy players that are going to see that rise, kind of like in basketball where you avoid big men for the most part. Um, and then make sure that the player is going to have exposure, because if I'm buying, my favorite Newcastle player, but Newcastle never does anything and they're finishing 15th in the EPL, nobody's ever going to want their cards,
Right.
especially if they're not on a huge national club. So buy players that are going to be in the running for Champions League finals, in the World Cup finals. Buy guys that are going to be on TV, because that's who's going to get the exposure and that's who people are going to want to buy.
Awesome. Those are some really great points there for people to think about. I think it's a great way to end it. Everyone go give Treadway21 a follow on Instagram. I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. This was another Sunday episode of SlabStoxFC, and we'll see you all next week.